Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Ridwanullah family. Welcome back to another episode of Ridwanullah TV Life Maximization Show. I'm your host, Financial Freedom and Life Maximizer, Hussein Mohamud, working to help you completely maximize your financial freedom and life in this dunya and in the akhirah for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, in this episode, it is part 2 of what we started on Monday this week. And this is Thursday, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, that I would normally be posting these videos. And the topic that we started last week is the one decision that will change your productivity and plans forever plus more, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So if you did not watch that episode, I would suggest that you go watch that episode, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, because that'll give you the context of what we'll be talking about and pretty much adding the last piece. And I'm pretty sure this is not the first time or last time that I'll be speaking about productivity and the decision that we spoke about and everything else. But in the same time, and the reality is the simple fact that it's a reoccurring theme, and it's something that I've been thinking about for a little while now. So it's time for me to just address it up front, and for all of us to realize, that the importance of that decision in terms of, you being productive in all the plans that you have, to completely maximize your financial freedom and life in this dunya and in the akhirah for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So within that instance, just to kind of let you guys know, generally what we spoke about is, the productivity calendar, the annual calendar that you use determines the trajectory of your productivity and plans in your life. And you don't have to start that way. Eventually, you'll start to realize that, you have to utilize a system that you're using to be productive. And for me, I've been developing this productivity system that I've mentioned previously that has been an extraordinary challenge that I'm working on and building on and everything else that you could possibly have imagined. And, I'm still struggling with it. I'm still trying to develop it. And the one decision that I've made in the previous episode, actually, I didn't quite share with you that it was a full decision, but I've kind of alluded to that. And that's probably a part of what I want to summarize and conclude it with as an introductory process of what I wanted to share with you. But at the same time, it is a decision that I've made, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, that will continue as long as I'm living and forever, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And that decision that will change and has changed my productivity and plans to a large degree is deciding to completely stick with the Hijri calendar as my productivity system and plans, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And what I'm planning on doing is organizing everything in my financial freedom and life productivity and plans on the Hijri calendar, meaning I will be using the 45-week year productivity system that I've been building for at least about 2 to 3 years, if not more than that right now. And like I said, if you're using the Gregorian calendar, it becomes a 47-week year productivity system, which means that on a yearly basis, you're only going to be, when you're using the Hijri calendar, which is the preferred, you'll only be working 45 weeks out of the whole year. And each quarter, let's say the first quarter, you'll take a week off to kind of recalibrate and, just take a retreat. And then second quarter comes around, you'll work for a certain amount of weeks, and then you'll take another week off and take a break. And then third quarter comes, you'll be working a certain amount of weeks, and then you take 1 week off to, do your quarterly retreats. I like to call it my quarterly Ridwanullah retreats, where I like to travel, take adventure and fun, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, within a reasonable amount of situations. And then I think I was on the third quarter, but if I didn't say it, I'll repeat it. If you're on the third quarter, you'll take, you work a certain amount of time, and then you'll take 1 week off again. And then when it becomes the fourth quarter, since it's at the end of the year, you will be, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, taking 2 to 3 weeks off, depending on which year it is. So there are some years that you will at least have 2 weeks, and there are some years where you have 3 weeks for your quarterly retreats. And I think this year would be 2 weeks. Last year was 3 weeks. The next year after this will potentially be 3 weeks. I don't know how things kind of play out. But that's generally the idea of utilizing the Hijri calendar system for your productivity. And it's been amazing, and I've been utilizing it to one shape or another for about 5 to 10 years now, give or take. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And it has been a game changer for me. So that's what I wanted to let you guys know, that is what I will be utilizing moving forward. And like I said, the Gregorian calendar is going with the current. The Hijri calendar is going against the current, meaning majority of the people are utilizing and used to only the Gregorian calendar, have little clue about the Hijri calendar. And that's probably a part of the reason why I wanted to share with you these amazing insights and breakthroughs that I've had. Because it has allowed me to, for lack of a better term, explode my productivity and plans. I know some of you guys know exactly why I'm laughing, but if you don't, just stick with the basics. Oh man. But yeah, that's essentially what I wanted to share with you, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot more things that I want to say than there is time. But you know, whenever I'm posting my content, or you'd be joining in any of, you know, the 3 programs that I have going on or developing in the process right now, and that's the system that we're going to be using, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. And I'm pretty sure we'll have different opportunities of explaining that a little bit in details. And I thought about creating a different course and or program around the 45-week year productivity system that I particularly use to completely maximize my productivity and plans. But inshallah, if you guys would like to hear more about that, and you know, it's been, you know, years in the making, so I'm pretty sure it's not up to its full capacity and potential right now, but bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, as I'm utilizing it and tweaking it and seeing what works and deciding to completely switch to this particular Hijri productivity system and utilizing the Gregorian calendar along with it, will determine the trajectory of my productivity and plans, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. And I hope that it does for you as well. And you guys, when bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, you are watching the show and these episodes that are coming out, it's going to be lit, bruh. It's going to be on fire. Let's say that, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. We're going to crank it up. I hope that you, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, you know, maximize your productivity, because we have a short amount of time in this dunya, and the akhirah within stages are temporary, but there are 2 destinations that are everlasting. So there are 3 parts that we have to consider. This dunya, which is very temporary, right? Anybody who's living roughly about 60 to 80 years, give or take, right? And then that's only a short amount of time. And then there's the temporary stages of the akhirah that last specific amount of time, such as the barzakh, the grave, right? Such as our time being resurrected and being in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Judgment Day. And then there are 2 destinations that will last forever, which is you will either end up in hell forever, wa'iyadu billah, or if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saves you from that and you've worked hard for it through the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will end up in Jannah forever, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. So with that understanding, I've come to the conclusion that the Hijri calendar, for me personally as a Muslim, is the only way to go in terms of my productivity, and hopefully we can design a system and a reality and a financial and work system that will allow us to fully utilize that system alone, unless we have to use the Gregorian calendar along with it. But living in the Western world, particularly in America, specifically in Salt Lake City, Utah, it's important for me to stick to the Hijri calendar completely and utilize the Gregorian calendar as long as I am being paid on that system and paying bills on that system, and working within that system. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to see a system that is the Hijri calendar completely, for our personal life as well as our financial bills and work life as well, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. So I hope that makes sense. If this is a new introduction to you, hopefully this will spark some curiosity in you to start thinking about your productivity system at the very least, and see which calendar system you are utilizing to maximize your productivity and plans, not only in your financial freedom, but all parts of your life in this dunya and in the akhirah for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the fears that I've had to kind of share with you guys real quick is, I've had some high level of insights and breakthroughs that I've been experiencing in my life, and I'm thinking to myself, not in a egotistical way or low self-esteem way, but in a humbly confident way that maybe some of the people might not understand what you're talking about, and this might go way over their heads. Or maybe they're so used to this at a higher level that, what you're going to be presenting to them will be of low value and use. But in any case, what I wanted to share with you guys is some of the highest level of thoughts and ideas and breakthroughs that I'm having. And initially and essentially, that is particularly the productivity system I've been developing, and the different categories of my life is another one of them in this dunya and in the akhirah for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And maybe inshallah I'll talk about the different areas of my life. If you guys can see that I'm particularly focused on, as of right now, on Mondays I'll be focused on financial freedom, and then on Thursdays I'll be talking about all other areas of our lives in this dunya and in the akhirah for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I hope this helps you in maximizing all other areas of your life in this dunya and in the akhirah by the grace, will, and for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is the decision. To summarize and conclude this and bring this home, I'm fully committing to the Hijri calendar, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. And that is because if you make a decision from the gut, you stick with that regardless of all the external problems and challenges that you may deal with, because it's essentially and eventually it'll all work out for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is my message to you. I hope that these little reminders and insights and breakthroughs spark your mind and curiosity, and it allows you to, first and foremost, start completely maximizing your financial freedom and everything else directly and indirectly related to that, as well as all other parts of your life in this dunya and in the akhirah by the grace, will, and for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And just to kind of give you guys a little bit of update, I've decided to focus on financial freedom and everything else that is directly and indirectly related to that. And the second part of that is to focus on all other parts of our lives in this dunya and in the akhirah for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So on Mondays, what I'm trying to do is focus on the financial freedom aspect of it. And then on Thursdays, we're going to focus on life in general, specifically all other parts of life, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. So that is pretty much it. Jazakumullahu khair. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. Just as I've challenged you on the last video to think about which productivity system you're on, in this episode I will challenge you, as hard as it may be, to commit to one calendar system. I would highly suggest for you, if you are a Muslim, is to get and stick with the Hijri calendar. Otherwise, no judgment here. I've struggled with both of them, kind of went back and forth on both of them. But decide on which one is most suitable for you and stick to that and utilize that to the best of your abilities, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. And I'm curious actually to know, leave it on the comments below, which one are you going to stick with? As I've said, with my financial freedom in all parts of my life and anything that I'm doing, I'm going to be sticking to the Hijri calendar completely and utilizing the Gregorian calendar along with it, just to kind of create some context for those individuals who are not used to the Hijri calendar as of right now, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. So that is pretty much it, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be improving the program where I stay consistent with making giving shout outs to our sponsors, announcements, and updates, and summarizing and concluding with that along with it. But let me just say our default sponsor right now is Ridwanullah organization, which is an organization that is designed to help you completely maximize your financial freedom and life in this dunya and in the akhirah for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you could visit us at ridwanullah.com. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor of this TV show or these shows that I'm doing and the other contents that I'm creating, send your request, budget, and details to ridwanullahorganization@gmail.com. We'll be looking forward to working with you bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, because I'm extraordinarily excited with the future, what the future holds by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'll be hoping to work with anybody who's willing to completely maximize their financial freedom and life in this dunya and in the akhirah for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Announcements and updates. I'm semi out of my quarterly retreat right now. In a couple of weeks, maybe 7 weeks, I'll be taking another quarterly retreat. We are in the second quarter of the 1441 Hijri calendar. So I'll be utilizing it like that. So if I don't respond to you during my quarterly retreats, please excuse me. This is a non-negotiable quarterly retreat for me. It allows me to calibrate and get myself together bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. So that is pretty much it. I hope that anything that was mentioned here has been valuable for you, and hopefully we'll continue to completely maximize everything else bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. If you are part of the Ridwanullah family, Jazakumullahu khair. If you're not, please press the subscribe button. And if you've particularly liked this episode, please press the like button as well. That'll help our channel grow. And leave your comments on the link below. And if you know somebody who could utilize these knowledge and insights and breakthroughs, please share it with them. As I've said, not only is it going to help them bi-idhnillahi ta'ala and help you with good deeds by sharing the khair bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, it'll help our channel grow. And I hope that, the base of our Ridwanullah family just continues to grow as we learn and grow personally, professionally, fi dunya wal akhirah bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. And last but not least, all of our contents are going to be centralized on our website, ridwanullah.com, and you'll be able to find all of the things that we post there, and all of the other outlets and social media that we're normally on there as well. And I'm trying to make that the centralized location where we discuss and engage as the main source of engagement as well, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. So I would love to see you there. And that's pretty much it. Jazakumullahu khair, Ridwanullah family, for tuning in to another episode of Ridwanullah TV Life Maximization Show. I'm your host, Financial Freedom and Life Maximizer, Hussein Mohamud, working to help you completely maximize your life and your financial freedom and life in this dunya and in the akhirah for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Checking out by saying, I'm probably butchering this, but it's all in the beginning and we're going to learn from it. Checking out by saying, never ever give up on completely maximizing your financial freedom in life in this dunya and in the akhirah by the grace, will, and for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.